Physical Services Committee to order. Can you please call the roll?
Councillor Van Buren.
Here.
Councillor Emmons.
Here.
Councillor Gozick.
Here.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of February 16th, 2016? And I would appreciate the same gusto that Councilor McLaughlin just showed. I'll keep that up.
We're excited.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Councillor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councillor Emmons.
Yes.
Councillor Gozick.
Yes.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Is there any old business to come before this committee? Seeing none, moving on to new business. Item number 1, under authorization, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from Gwyneth Vickery to purchase and have a memorial bench placed in Brightback Park in honor of her husband, Floyd Joe Vickery, who passed on December 21st, 2014. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Councillor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councillor Emmons.
Yes.
Councillor Gozick.
Yes.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Item number 2, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from William Carhart on behalf of the Oswego County Federal Credit Union for the use of West Park during the summer of 2016 in order to host a series entitled Movies in the Park. They're asking to show family-friendly movies on the third Wednesday evening during June and July, specifically June 29th with the rain date of June 30th and July 20th with the rain date of July 21st, and there's an attachment. See anyone from the credit union here to speak? Keith, do you want to say anything?
I mean, just if anyone has questions, we can answer questions after that. So.
Any questions or comments?
Why they moved from East Park to West Park?
It's all, oh,
It should be East Park.
it should be East Park. So, that is correct, please.
It should be East Park. Okay.
Sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Councillor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councillor Emmons.
Yes.
Councillor Gozick.
Yes.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
On item number 3, Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, received a request from Dan Connolly on behalf of the Oswego Lacrosse Club for use of the Fort Ice Rink during the month of April on Monday and Thursday nights for 3 to 4 hours per night. The Oswego Lacrosse Club will have coaches at the rink at all times for supervision. Also, the Oswego Lacrosse Club will pay $70 an hour for the time the rink is used. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, take a motion.
Make a motion. Second.
Councillor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councillor Emmons.
Yes.
Councillor Gozick.
Yes.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Is there any other business to come before this committee? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Councillor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councillor Emmons.
Yes.
Councillor Gozick.
Yes.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes.
I'd like to call the Planning and Development Committee to order, please.
Councillor Walker.
Here.
Councillor Gozick.
Here.
Councillor Corradino.
Here.
Okay, approve the minutes for February 16, 2016.
Councillor Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Gozick.
Yes.
Councillor Corradino.
Yes.
Is there any old business? None there. We'll go to new business. Authorization. Kevin Caracoli, City Attorney, would like to discuss proposal regarding local law number 2 for the year 2016, amending the Charter Ethics Code. This ethics code hasn't been updated since 1980. And turn it over to Eric.
Thank you, Chair. That is correct. The Code of Ethics was first adopted in the city of Oswego as Chapter 45 of 1980. The Common Council adopted it back then. It provided for a total of 7 sections dealing with the purpose, a very small 2-term definition section, the standards of conduct, a section on claims, which really deals with an elected official or an employee of the city bringing their own action. For instance, if you wanted to grieve your real property assessment, there would be nothing that would bar you from doing that just by virtue of the fact that you were an officer or an employee. So that's what that section dealt with. And then there's a requirement for distributing this code of ethics to all new employees. And then a penalty for any offense to violating this code. And really what you're violating is the standard of conduct. That was what and is the code of ethics currently in effect. Since then, in 36 years, things have changed in both local government and state government. There is a plethora of cases at the state level in particular of elected officials violating the public trust and just the state of government in general. I think there's a lot of mistrust. And so this is our effort to try to address that concern locally. The State Comptroller's Office put together some model code of ethics a few years back. And let me back up for a minute. The general municipal law of the state of New York requires each municipality, whether it be a county, town, city level, even fire districts and boards of education must comply with a code of ethics. So this is not a new requirement. This is nothing that is above and beyond what is required, and we do comply with the state law. The point is, and I think Mayor Barlow campaigned on this issue of making local government accountable to the voters, to the people. This is our effort to address that in terms of issues that come up from time to time. One of the provisions that this adds that is not in the current Code of Ethics is a Board of Ethics, a 3-member board that would be appointed by the mayor, that would be concurrent with the mayor's term, so that and that board would serve at the pleasure of the mayor. And so from administration to administration, there could potentially be fresh members on that board. But the board is designed to interpret questions that come up from time to time from folks within the government and outside the government. So if voters, residents have questions related to a code of conduct, potential business dealing of an employee or an elected official, just general questions that come up from time to time, they could be referred to a board of ethics for an interpretation. So the proposed model goes from the existing 7 sections to approximately, I believe it's 22 sections. And let me be clear, I'm not a big fan of expanding the size of government or making things more complicated, but I do think that what this achieves, if considered and adopted by the Common Council, is to bring the city of Oswego into the 21st century, the way that governments ought to be run. And therefore, I certainly would highly recommend favorable consideration of this resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions that there might be from the committee or from the public.
Anybody have any questions? Yes, please.
The only couple of questions I got is, are we modeling ourselves after anybody here on this ethical board? Because, well, hold on, Kevin, before you get going here, I don't know who you could model yourself after. After all, Albany's ready to hang themselves out on a boat. Talk about ethical conduct. I don't think we have those kind of problems here, do we? Do we have problems like Albany's got? Are they that substantial, huge? Okay, this little town can't have problems like that, can it?
Not with you here, Miles.
I didn't hear you.
Said not with you here, Miles.
I've been here since '96. Where were you in '72 when I went to Washington? Okay? Start with me, Eric. I'm sorry about that. I just don't get this ethical conduct when Albany is guilty as hell. You know? No problem.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Councilor Walker. My name's Benjamin Culp. I live at 5 Primrose Path in the city of Oswego. I was very happy to read in the Palladium Times today that the council will be exploring ways to strengthen and enforce the code of conduct, and eliminate corruption, perceived or actual. What came to mind for me was the Moreland Commission, which Governor Cuomo created in 2013 to investigate public corruption and disbanded in 2014. I'm sure you recall the allegations that the commission was not permitted to investigate the governor's administration or allies, leading to widespread criticism and even a federal investigation. The problem, of course, was that the entire commission was appointed by the governor and served at the pleasure of the governor, and was therefore clearly not independent or impartial. So I was less than happy to see in this morning's paper that Mayor Barlow's proposal is that he will appoint all the members of the Board of Ethics, and that in the words of the city attorney, they will serve at the pleasure of the mayor. We saw how that went 2 years ago in Albany. Luckily, we already have in our city code at least one model for creating a body whose independence and impartiality is crucial. Section C103 describes how a 5-person apportionment commission is created when census data requires that city wards be redrawn. Several of the current council members lived through this a few months ago when we redrew some of the city wards. I trust that the law was followed then. It says that the mayor appoints 2 members, the council appoints 2 members, and then those 2 members pick a 5th member. It also specifies that the 5-person commission can't have more than 3 members who are enrolled members of any one political party. So when it comes to the Board of Ethics being discussed this evening, the idea of splitting appointments between the mayor and the council sounds like a very good idea to me, as does the bipartisan requirement. But in the end, it's up to you. But please do not create a mini Moreland Commission in Oswego, one controlled entirely by the mayor and therefore unable to act independently. To do so would further erode the public trust that this proposal is intended to strengthen. Thank you.
Careful, do you have a response to that? A legal opinion or experience, or as you were doing your research on the Code of Ethics, and specifically the board, did you see other examples out there of the Board of Ethics that might have had a different composition or created differently?
I think it can be done a number of ways. In this particular case, the Common Council establishes not only the Code of Ethics, but the composition of the Board of Ethics, and then it is the executive's position and authority to appoint that board. And I guess I would, go back to what Miles was saying. I mean, I don't think that and I appreciate the comments with respect to the Moreland Commission. I don't see that as a concern here. I don't think we have the issues that Albany faced, and I think that in many respects is somewhat of a one-off situation. This board, as comprised, would consist of 3 members, the majority of whom shall not be officers or employees of the city of Oswego. So they are members of the community, and the 3rd member would be an officer. In fact, it says at least 1 member must be a municipal officer or employee. The only example I could offer, the county of Oswego has not only a Code of Ethics, but a Board of Ethics. Same composition. There are 3 members, 2 from the community at large, and 1 employee of the county. To be honest with you, I don't believe that it reflects a political party representation, or I do think in that case it's appointment by the entire body of the county legislature, but there is no one right or wrong way to do that. I guess that would be. It does go on. It's not a very detailed or long section, but it does have a lot of detail in it. The Board of Ethics renders advisory opinions. The advisory opinions must be rendered with a written request. The Board of Ethics shall have the advice of legal counsel that is employed by the board, and if none, the municipality's legal counsel. In addition, the Board of Ethics may make recommendations with respect to the drafting and adoption of a code of ethics or amendments to it upon request of the Common Council. So there is, between the executive branch and the legislative branch of this particular government, there is a fair amount of interplay with respect to not only the creation of the Board of Elections, or Board of Ethics, the composition of it, and the actual work that a board would do. I think there's a fair amount of oversight between the legislative and executive branch.
Any other questions, comments?
I'd just like to say I support what has been put forward. I spent 10 years of my life doing this stuff. This is a bare bones. It doesn't say that we've got a problem, but it just sets forth the expectations that every employee that works for the city, council, mayor, it applies to the mayor as well. It's something, though, it just says this is what we expect from everybody that works for the city. And it's very comprehensive. I can say that this is a scaled-down version. The ones that I used to have to write and change every year had more than 30 pages. And so this is a very good thing. It's very succinct. And I think we all should support that. The only question I have is whether 3 members is sufficient enough, because you always want when you're having a board, you want, in case something should happen and you lose 1 member, you need a quorum. You need more than the 2 people to vote on any of these things. So that'd be my only question. Thank you.
And again, there's little guidance in that regard. The comptroller's model suggests an odd number, of course, 3, 5, 7. Again, we went with the county model, which is a 3-member board, and it's not designed to meet regularly, but only as needed. So the thought being that when needed, hopefully you coordinate with each of the members, you get their schedule in place, and then you hold a meeting so that you try to accomplish a full meeting with all 3 members in this case. But again, whether it's 3, 5, or 7, I think 7 may get a little too unwieldy. 5 could be a good number. We chose 3 because that's essentially what the county did, and it works for them, and that's another important part. It works for the county, and we're not necessarily looking to complicate things. We do want to keep it somewhat simple and lean, but also accomplish what this code sets out to do.
More questions?
I just had one nice one to express that after listening to the members of the public tonight, I think that we definitely should consider the bipartisan aspect, as well as the issue of appointments. I mean, in New York State today, we all know that corruption is a huge problem. People have lost faith in the government, whether it's local government or whether it's our state government, which is a mess. I'm going to Albany tomorrow to lobby for the teachers union. I've been lobbying for 10 years. And you go down there, and it's hard to have any respect for the people there that are in charge. To be honest with you, we see what's happening. So as a matter of principle, I think we do need to look at these fine details, and important details, well taken. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
And we need a resolution?
Attorney's office. Yeah. Okay, seeing no more new business, but motion to adjourn.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to open the Administrative Services Committee meeting. Please call the roll.
Counselor Corradino.
Here.
Counselor Van Buren. Here. Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Emmons.
Here.
Need a motion to approve the minutes from February 16th, 2016 meeting?
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Any old business at this point? Seeing none, go to new business under authorization. Thomas Kells, DPW Commissioner, is requesting permission to purchase a 2016 International HX515 6x4 truck from Stadium International Trucks with additional Viking equipment components. This purchase is reimbursable under CHIPS. Commissioner?
This is actually a 2017 we're requesting. There's a typo there. Our fleet is quite old, and we're in dire need of newer equipment. We've been kicking the can down the road for many years on these piece of equipment with the comments of, we'll do it next year. Well, we've been doing that way too long. We're going to come up to a time when this year we didn't get it, but we're going to get too much snow, and these trucks are breaking down, and we're not going to be able to take care of the roads in a timely manner.
Any comments, questions, concerns? Counselor?
Thank you. I've been over to that DPW in the past, and their equipment is really depleting. It's rusting. Floorboards are rotting. I mean, you look at it, the maintenance, they're doing the maintenance, and they're band-aiding everything that they got now just to get them down the road. I mean, we have the actual funds to do this. You know, like we need it. Yes. So take it out of the CHIPS money, like Mr. Kell said. It's going to hurt our paving projects a little bit, probably. But we got to have equipment to maintain our roads and do our jobs that we have to do. So I will be supportive.
I did have a question. If you were to get this 2017 truck, you're replacing a specific truck that apparently is on its last leg?
That is correct.
What year is that? Yes?
98.
98. Counselor, welcome.
To the chair. Are we going to be removing this from the stack, rolling stack, or are we just going to use this as a backup plow?
We're probably going to be removing it. It's to that point where we're putting a lot of money into repairs, and it just does not make sense.
This is 1998, if I can ask. Is it a truck that's similar to other vehicles you have in the fleet?
Very similar.
Could it be used for parts for the other?
Unfortunately, no. Over the years, we did not invest in the same equipment. We went with the lowest price, what was out there the cheapest, and now we're faced with several different brands, different parts. So no, we would not be.
Any other questions? Counselor?
Just because I don't know, how do you arrive at this particular truck over other trucks? Talk a little bit about how do you get down to this specific model truck? What's the process like in terms of getting that bid and that information? Because I simply don't know. I see it, and it looks good. I support it. But tell me a little bit how you arrived at a $199,000 truck. Is there a $179,000 truck we should be considering? Help me understand that a little bit.
Talking to other municipalities, county, and other towns, Scriba, so on, these are the trucks that most of them are using, and that's where we come up with that.
That's a pretty standard.
That is
truck
correct.
out there.
Counselor?
I'll elaborate on that too. You got to go for something that there's parts for. I know the county has bought it in the past. You got trucks out there you can't get parts for. What do you do with them? So you got to look at different things that can be available. Get someone, you know, for the future. This is a good one. And everybody, Viking equipment. Everybody know what that is. That's a whole plow. That's your plow, your wing, your sander. So give everybody something else.
separate. That comes separate from buying the truck and power, wing, and sanders.
How soon after, if this was to be approved, how soon would this join the fleet?
That's a great question. They're 6 to 9 months from order. So again, the longer we wait, if we had a couple of these trucks break in the middle of the winter, we're in trouble. It's not like we can go to the store and pick one up tomorrow.
9 months. Just as long as having a baby, huh?
Sorry?
Almost as painful to buy, too.
Any other questions or comments on trucks or babies?
I just had one comment. I know the very first night we had our big snow this year, I had gotten a hold of Commissioner Kells, and I had a couple of residents call, or constituents call, and they'd asked why there hadn't been plowed out at a certain time of day. And Commissioner Kells, you can confirm this, but the very first night we had that big storm, one of the trucks went down, right?
That is correct. Yep. And that happens quite regularly with the age of this fleet.
Well, all noted, I guess. Any other, yes, Councilor?
And I'm sure you're working on this, Commissioner Pels. I think the mayor's asked each department, are we developing a schedule, if you will, for replacement of equipment? Not that we have deep pockets up here in the council side, but it would seem to me that we need to develop some sort of longer-term strategy to, it's not one truck this year, it's going to have, we're going to have to start replacing some of these vehicles, it would seem like, over the course of time.
Yes, you'll be sick of me coming and doing this. This is something we need to do.
Yes.
Through the chair. What's the difference in the models between the 16 and the 17? Tom? Or Commissioner?
The difference in the models? They're the same model. It's actually just
so
a typo.
is there any benefit? We're waiting on a 17, right? So is there a 16? I'm saying, is there any improvements on a 17 that would make us want to have to do that, where we might get a better rate on a 16 with the same package? Is there any difference between a 2016 and 2017?
Yes, the 17s are available, 16s are not.
Even in a used condition or any place else?
Used condition, no.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Any other comments?
Second.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Okay, under request for travel, Tori DeCare, Police Chief, requests permission to send one police officer to a safe school seminar to be held March 15th and 16th, 2016. The seminar will be held at the University of Buffalo in Buffalo, New York.
Thank you, Chairman. This is for our juvenile officer to go and attend. There's no course for registration. She's waiving all travel expenses except for the reimbursement for the hotel stay.
Any questions?
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Item number 3, Tori DeCare, Police Chief, requests permission to send 2 police officers to a first-line supervisor school to be held April 11th through April 29th, 2016, at the Salve Police Station in Salve, New York. Again, Chief?
Thanks again. This is a requirement under the General Municipal Law, 209Q. All first-line supervisors have to attend this within 1 year of appointment. The 2 supervisors who are going are currently on an extension from DCJS because there were no courses available last year. This is the first available course, so they have to attend.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Second.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Item number 4, Deanna Senzi Lafont, City Clerk, received a request from Circle T Motorsports, Circle T Amusements, for approval of the 2016 racing schedule for Oswego Speedway. License fee of $500 is on deposit in the clerk's office. Anybody here to speak of this?
They do this every year for amusement license. Never had a problem.
The only question I had was the license fee of $500, maybe because you're the longest tenured counselor here. Do you know if that's ever gone up during the 8 years you've been here?
It has not.
Any other questions?
Is that a standard fee? Not standard fee. in particular to the contract, but is it overall fee from the city as a licensing fee? Is that-
Through the chair, I believe that that's how it goes, is standard fee, set fee is the way it goes.
Well, I have a list of fees that was given to me for the pool fees and Cullinan ice skating rink. I don't see that on here. So that must be, I mean, since we only have one speedway, obviously, it's not on a list. But my question is, where did they arrive at the $500, and have they looked at it go up? 8 years, I mean, you've been here 8 years plus, and you haven't seen it go up?
My question is, as long as you're on the subject of the Speedway and charging them $500 for a license, I would like to know if you charge them for the water that they supply all their campers and for the sewage fees of processing the sewage dump from their campers, being that the price of our water and sewer taxes are so high. Maybe that should be considered before licensing again.
Counselor?
I do know they have a meter, ground meter down there. Your meter.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Under transfer of funds, item number 5, Mayor William J. Barlow Jr. requests a transfer of funds in the amount of $234,191 for the Code Enforcement Department. Mayor Barlow could not attend tonight as he had to be out of town, so he's asked me to say a few words in regards to this request. So I have prepared some notes. As many people know, the Code Enforcement Department several years ago was eliminated, and since I wasn't on the council at the time, I can only guess why it was eliminated. I'm guessing it was probably costs. But at the time, the responsibilities and duties of the Code Enforcement Department was assigned to the police department, or the fire department. The fire department was given a very difficult task to not only perform their firefighting duties, which I took a tour of the fire department recently, and they certainly have a lot on their plate, but they were given this additional work of the codes. I believe, and I think this is a very common sentiment, that the Oswego Fire Department has done a great job doing the work of codes. However, it's become more apparent as time has gone on that the dedicated codes department is what we need here in the city of Oswego. If you look at any municipality our size, a dedicated department is what is called for and what is happening in other cities. So I think a new and improved codes department will be able to provide the residents with an efficient and cost-effective way to make a difference in our neighborhoods and in our city as a whole. When we have residents who want to build a porch or replace a porch or put a deck on, they shouldn't have to wait weeks and weeks or go through many steps to accomplish a simple task. We need to make it more user-friendly and customer-friendly. The mayor's plan has been reviewed and approved by the State of New York Division of Enforcement Administration. So what he's proposing here tonight has been approved by Albany. So it does follow the letter of the law in that respect. Now, I want to talk about the department and how it will be made up. The department will be, this is basically how it's going to work if passed. The director, which will be Sue Deary, She will be the director, and she will take on the additional responsibilities of being the director, but she's also keeping her current job as assessor and all the other hats you wear. We're going to be hiring a new part-time permit coordinator. This person is going to assist applicants in applying for building permits. And again, this is a new position, and it's part-time. There's going to be, well, the next person is a complaint inspector. Now, this person looks into the residents' complaints. However, this is not a new job. This is a current job that is held by Ford Babcock, who currently is under the auspices of the police department. He would be transferred to this new codes department. So that's actually a current job. The mayor also wants to have 2 code enforcement officers added to this department. These people will inspect existing and new structures to ensure compliance of all codes. So this is 2 new people, which I believe we have advertised for those positions. And then the last person in the department would be a code enforcement clerk. This person would handle calls and paperwork created by the code office. This would be a new position. However, again, my understanding is it's actually a person who's going to be transferred from the HUD department because of the reorganization in HUD. That person was no longer going to be needed, so that person is going to be transferred to code enforcement as clerk. The office will be located on the 3rd floor of City Hall, and everyone except the complaint inspector will be there. Ford Babcock is currently, as I said, in that job, and that he will be in the basement. I'm not sure if that says anything about Ford. He's stuck in the basement.
Ford, he's a nice guy, too.
Now, the funds for the new codes department, I believe, some of it, if not all of it, was in the budget that you passed last year. It was in contingency budget. But the $234,190 that we're talking about today has to be approved in order for this to happen. Now, personally, I campaigned this fall, and I talked to a lot of people, and some of the main issues that people were talking about were roads, taxes, water bills, and the codes office. Maybe not in that order, but the codes office is a very, very critical part of the mayor's overall plan. He wants to make this city more user-friendly, more customer-friendly, and more business-friendly. And when a business comes to Oswego and they want to open a business or build a building, we shouldn't make them go through a lot of hoops. We should make the process streamlined, simple, and easy to understand. So I think the mayor's idea here is a good one, that we need to reinstitute the codes department, and doing it as fast as we can would be a good idea, because it's first week of March, building season's coming soon, and we're going to be getting a lot of requests for codes, for building permits, and as such. So I believe this is something we should vote on quickly. That's pretty much all my comments. Anybody else have any comments or concerns, issues? Counselor? Well, currently we're advertising for the code enforcement officer, and to my knowledge, Mrs. Geary, have we gotten anybody?
When we advertise, Counselor, and their cancer certification, as well as several years of police. So we have received a few applications for under review. So we can answer if we will not be training in marijuana and have this
Yes, Mary.
I thought I remember from the budget discussion last year about a different source of revenue. Could you have think on that? Sorry, source of funding.
Yes, this is a budget amendment. So we take it out of the department budget, and it's not it's a budget amendment from the state.
Yes.
When you're saying two new people would inspect
Any other, Councilor?
I just want to confirm from the chamber, so this money is not currently in contingent, but would have to be moved from the savings side of the budget?
Through the chair. Probably a question for Deb. This year's budget, there was a number thrown out there, $70,000 towards codes, but it wasn't exactly specified in terms of where it went. Is that number accurate at all?
I'm not sure I know what you're referring to.
Okay. Can you tell me an amount that was approved for codes at the last budget talk for fiscal year 2016?
The last budget talk for code was due to get salaries and some small materials, supplies, and travel. It's the code officer certification.
Any other questions? Yes.
I just want to, expound on what you said, you spoke eloquently about it, but, we are losing revenue by not having the personnel, reinstated. For instance, I ran some numbers today, and, rental permits, we have not been able to keep them up to date. In the last 2 years, we lost $64,590. Due to the lack of personnel being able to carry out the process. The process is not, what we have to do is tax checks and the water meters, and we have to have a proper management. It all takes personnel. Also, I've spoken to you, few statistics about the number of complaints. Just in the month of January alone, we had responded to 66 quality of life complaints. That's mostly for, we had 57 code-related. These are just complaints that we have to respond to. That has nothing to do with the building permit process. And I did put those figures. Last year we did 1,603 inspections, whether they be training inspections, plumbing inspections, evaluations. All these complaints and inspections, a code officer has to leave the building. Absolutely. We are to maintain the quality of life and public safety. We have to have the personnel to the side to carry out the job. And we really need it. There's no way around it. Also, we're looking at other areas of generating revenue. We've been looking into ELC, as well as Comco, looking at excavation permits, looking at tapping fees, water meters, drain water meters, city hall, for a rental permit. You don't have to go up a water meter, we'll let you go out to the bring all the permitting into one department. So, we have a clear and consistent process. I think, like I said, you spoke out a little bit about it, and I really like to support this.
Well, it certainly sounds like it would be a little more customer-friendly as opposed to what we currently have.
Absolutely.
Especially, I like the part about the water meters being here locally, or here in this building, as opposed to sending somebody out there to the water plant. That's an excellent idea. Any other questions, Councilor?
Question I have, is going back to the budgetary question, how much of this $234,000 is actually money that would be moved from the savings account? Because I heard before that there's some shifting of personnel. Is that personnel monies tied up into the $234,000 request, or is this $234,000 new money?
This is new money.
Okay.
So that's not included in here. Because part of the budget is free stuff, so that'll be a rental or whatever. That will be a collection. This is over to the whole budget. The person
So there's a projection, though, out there. I'm going to go back to our coach director for a second. You're projecting some increases in revenue, though, that would help offset some of this. Your intention is that you're going to be bringing in new sources of revenue. You've identified some already in terms of monies that we've lost. And you're also working on different sources of revenue for the future that would technically help offset some of these expenditures.
Yes, Councilman.
Through the chair, probably more for Deb. Our savings is being hit again. Are we, you know what we have in there? And
Any other comments?
Make a motion.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Item number 6, Carolyn Anderson, Animal Control Officer, requests a transfer of funds to the Animal Control Personnel Account in the amount of $41,546.98 to cover the salary and benefits for an animal control aide from April 1st, 2016 through the remainder of the calendar year.
Is it working? Okay. There's several things going on in the animal control department right now, one of which is quite simply we're busier. When I came on in 2012, our animal count, like the number of animals that we handled per year, was 578. Last year's animal count was 847. We're doing more, we're working more, we're taking more stray and sick animals off the street, and we need more help. In order to maintain our current level of responsiveness to calls, our current standard of care to animals, you know, I want my department to grow. The personnel has to grow with it. The other issue that we're having right now is we are maintaining these 2 part-time positions in the department that are notoriously difficult to staff and have an extremely high turnover rate. The current positions call for people to work evening or weekends and holidays and call-ins. And pretty much we get people for these positions. They're wonderful. We train them. They stay 6 months and they leave. So by creating an animal control aide position, it would be a type of hybrid position. One of the part-time positions would be eliminated, and we would in turn have a full-time position, and this person would help out with animal control calls. They would do shelter aid work in the shelter on the weekends and the holidays, and as well as fill in for other staff when they needed vacation time. It would basically be somebody that would kind of be willing to jump around and do a little bit of everything. Actually, the number I think is a little bit lower. Debbie has the number because there's some unexpended funds from the part-time position that we can put towards that, that we would actually need for the remainder of the year if this position were funded. The position is a pay grade 5, so the actual salary is $30,847.
Any other questions? Any questions? Councilman?
so, through the chair, we would be only eliminating one of your part-time?
Correct.
You still have one part-time?
Yes.
Where are we getting the funds for this?
I would suggest contingency.
Thing is, if you budget, I don't know where we're going to get there. We're losing $1 million right off the top this year. Do we need it? Yes. Coach is a little bit more important right now, I think.
Can you take me, maybe you want to answer him first.
Sure, through the chair. The position is essentially the person who's in it has been helping out for the past 12 weeks anyway. And what we found is that we can actually bring in more revenue, which we do bring in quite a bit of revenue through the shelter, through licensing, through animals that are surrendered by owners, through, fees and things like that. So it's not a total cost to add this person in. The addition of this person would also give us an extra pair of hands to go out on the street and increase licensing revenue. And, we are hoping to start it's actually a mail-in kind of a census this year that the city clerk got approved for 2016, and this would help us follow up. Right now, due to the mild winter, I suspect that we are going to have a horrible spring and summer. We're getting complaints right now that we would be getting normally in April and May, and we just do not have the manpower to keep up with the animal calls, the complaints, the wildlife problems. There's already sick wildlife in the county that wouldn't normally be showing up until the spring, and we're going to be overwhelmed. And unfortunately, I don't want to see somebody get hurt in the city or have something happen, a child exposed to a rabid animal or something, because we don't have enough manpower and we can't get there in time, or, I've worked 300 days straight. And, the more help we have, the better. And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that we just need more help. We just can't maintain what we're doing now without an extra pair of hands. It's just not possible.
Well, as a new counselor, I've visited a number of departments, and I have to apologize. I haven't come out to visit your little world out there. I look forward to coming out.
I don't believe any of the counselors have been out there, actually.
Well, I will be there shortly. But before that happens, I'm just wondering, can you just take me through, what are the hours, like during the week and on the weekends for the animal shelter?
Well, the animal shelter is only open Monday through Friday. Our hours are 7 to 3. The biggest reason why we open at 7 is so people whose dogs have been picked up running loose have the chance to get them before they go to work in the mornings, like a loose dog, because most hours are 9 to 5. So if we're open 9 to 5, a dog is going to be stuck there. As for after-hours calls and weekend hours, it's variable by the year. Last week I worked 12 hours straight. I worked the 7, 8 hours at the shelter, and then I was at work till 6:30, and then I went back again at 8:30 for another call. The weekends, usually animal control staff work between 5.5 hours, cleaning the kennels, taking care of the animals. If we had this position, they would put a full 7 hours in, so that they would be able to do some stuff out on the street and some calls. But it's so variable by the time of year. What scares me is right now, our workload is approximately what it would normally be in like May, and it's only March. So, yeah.
Yes, Counselor.
Are you the only full-time position out there?
No, there's 2 full-time shelter aides that work in the building, primarily only taking care of the animals, dealing with the public, dealing with volunteers, things like that. Then there is a full-time assistant animal control officer who relieves me for 1 weekend night a week and helps out when I have to go on vacation, helps out in the building when I'm in surgeries with the veterinarian. She can do calls. Sometimes we need 2 people on a call. An aggressive dog, it's a lot easier to go with 2 people than just 1. So having an extra pair of hands, and this person would be an additional person as well. And there's been times where we need 2 or 3 people at a call for an animal control emergency where I have to pull people out of the shelter, lock the door, put up a sign, be back soon, it's an emergency. And we just don't have the manpower. And according to the shelter aides job descriptions, they don't actually have to respond to animal control calls. It's not in their job description because they're a lower level position. So I really only have 1 person in the building right now that can help me with anything outside the building that's in their job description. The police are not properly trained to deal with animals.
They are with that 9mm.
Teaser,
I
right.
mean, I
Plus the
can tell
animal
you, we have our vaccines, I mean, there's an officer, officers are invaluable to me, and they're always there to back me, and if it's a dangerous situation, I know I have them for, lethal force and things like that, but dogs don't like police officers. Police officers don't like skunks. It's not something that, and if any one of you would like to ride with me on a day, I'd be happy to take you along, show you what we do. Not only do we do, cats and dogs in the city, but I handle everything. I'm over trapping at Seaway Lofts right now for a mangy fox. You see the dead deer on 481? I go get those. It's any animal in the city, whether it's dead or alive. The little old lady's cat dies in her bathroom overnight. What do? They call us, we go and we get it, and we help them. It's any animal for any reason that has any problem goes through me. I'm on call 24/7. 911 calls me at 2 in the morning, wakes me up. My whole family, there's this joke now that we can't go through a movie. We can't sit through a movie. We can't sit through a dinner without a call. And it's been ongoing for years. And it's just not possible to maintain this level of service without more help.
Counselor?
What would it look like if both part-time positions were eliminated in lieu of a full-time position?
We can't, because we need 2 people on every weekend. It's not possible for one person, number one, safety-wise, it's not safe for one person to be in the building without, we deal with dogs that are on dangerous holds, dogs that have attacked children. We need another person in the building in case of emergency. And furthermore, we need one person to do the cats and one person to do the dogs. It's not physically possible for one person to do it all. We've looked into it. I've tried to figure out a way to do it, but it's just not feasible for any one person to do an entire weekend's worth of work.
Yes. May I ask a question? Through the chair. Do you pick up deer?
Yes, I do.
I really got a question for you. Are you being protected? What kind of protection do you use with those ticks and everything you've got carrying around? Oh, okay.
I don't think that's the city's concern.
Is the DEC picking them up anymore?
No, we do. I do it.
Just like the county, right? The county got to pick them up?
The City of Oswego Animal Control Officer picks up the dead deer. And the dead skunks and the dead raccoons.
I just worry about you with the deer, okay? I worry about you.
I worry about myself with the dangerous dogs and rabid skunks, too. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Am I done, Ron?
Yes.
No problem.
Any other comments? Seeing none? Motion?
Second.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker. Counselor Emmons.
No.
We need a resolution.
Yes, can we have a resolution? Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, I believe that was the last item on the agenda. Any old business to pop up? Seeing none, make a motion.
Counselor Corradino.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor Walker. Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Thank you.